First of all, was your game plan with all those kicks to try to maybe slow Nick down so he wasn't going to be able to? You know, he has a tendency to walk guys down and maybe do choppy kicks that might slow that attack down.
Absolutely. Nick Diaz's pace is second to none. He likes to walk guys down, like you said, and so affecting his mobility, chopping down his legs, and taking his wheels out from under him was a big part of the game plan.
And, in the early part when he was landing a lot of those blows, I mean, do you ever have any self-doubt there saying, well, maybe I should try something else, just because as you're trying that, he was landing, he was coming forward a lot in the first 2 rounds and landing a lot of those shots.
They weren't all that effective. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think. I haven't seen the fight, but for the most part, if he did hit me with anything, it was like kind of past his power zone, and it was just didn't have a lot on it.
Did you mind were you going like, hey, can I get this or not?
No. I was pretty confident that I had won the fight.
And just 2 other quick questions, and if I may. Question whether you would fight again before George is ready. I know it's right after the fight, and it's probably not fair to ask you this, but do you feel like you might want to take another fight, assuming George isn't back till close to the end of the year?
That's something that I have to discuss with my coaches and my management team. So I don't have an answer for you right now, honestly.
You sound like Dana. And then lastly, on the internet, there's a lot of people that are complaining that you quote unquote ran and that they were unhappy with your performance in the fight. I wonder, how you react to hearing people say that.
I won the fight. I landed a lot of effective strikes. I stuck to my game plan. I did what I went in there to do. If I sat there and fought Nick Diaz's fight, it would probably be him sitting here with this belt instead of me. But I did what I came to do. I did what I trained to do, and I hit him. I punched him in the face and kicked him in the face, and landed more effective strikes than he did in the fight. And that's what it boils down to.
Dana, did you speak with GSP after the fight, and what was his reaction?
No, I didn't talk to GSP after the fight.
Carlos, you had said before this fight that this was going to be a dog fight. Do you think the performance lived up to that?
Well, I haven't seen the fight, but if I would have, like I said, if I would have fought Diaz's fight and brawled, I probably wouldn't have won the fight. I did what my coaches told me to do, and I walked away with the win.
During the fight, how did you respond to that? What did you think of
that? Well, one of the things, I threw a spinning back fist or something. He told me, so we're throwing spinning shit now. And I kind of just, I had to crack a smile at that one and just go, yep, I'm doing what yes, I am.
So, was there any point ever though that it was getting under your skin to any degree, or inspiring you more?
No, I planned for that. I knew that I had to be mentally prepared, as well as physically prepared to fight Nick Diaz. He's a tough guy. I hit him with some hard shots, and he just kept coming. So that's something I had in my mindset, as well as the talking and the taunts and stuff. That I just needed to stay focused and continue to execute my game plan, no matter what he said or no matter how many punches he took from me. I couldn't let my focus stray.
So anybody at Jackson's camp taunt you during your practices? Get John Jones talking some smack to you?
Actually, John hasn't been at the gym for a little bit, but. Actually, I've had some training partners, doing a very, very good Nick Diaz impression lately.
Carlos, you talked about remaining focused throughout. The first 2 rounds were obviously very, very close. It was kind of difficult to see who was winning. Was there, what was the key, I guess, to sticking to the game plan? Was it your belief in it? Was it, your coaching instruction? What was it? Because it just wasn't sure if it was going your way to the opening 2 rounds.
Well, I felt like he was working. You know, I wasn't letting him back me straight up into the cage. You know, he had a few moments there where, you know, he was able to do his thing. But, you know, for the most part, I was staying out of the way of his punches, staying out of the way of his combinations. And, you know, like I said earlier, chopping his legs and, you know, affecting his mobility, you know, from the very start was working. You know, you don't see the effects of that till later on in the fight, but he stopped coming forward on me. And, you know, I was landing what I needed to do to basically, executing the game plan.
And you mentioned earlier there was just kind of a surreal feeling in getting the belt. Now that you've had a few minutes, has it set in at all, and kind of what's your emotional standpoint right now?
No, it hasn't quite set in. You know, I need a little bit of time to process, but I feel good. You know, after fights, you know, it's done. All the pressure's gone. You know, I trained for 6 months, had a lot of different opponents lined up, and you know, to walk away with the win is feels pretty good.
Well, when you and I spoke on Wednesday, the sense post-interview was, we got that, don't be surprised if I spoil the party. How satisfied, because all the focus was so much on Nick and or on GSP that people were sort of sweeping you aside and almost counting you out. How satisfied do you feel now?
Well, honestly, my whole career people have been underestimating me and kind of counting me out of fights, and I think that I've made a pretty good run at beating the odds and and beating and finishing, for the most part, guys that were supposed to beat me, guys that I had no chance against. So I think that this is just another instance, and I don't feel like anybody disrespected me. Diaz gave me my due, George gave me my due, but George wants to fight Nick, and that's so. Like I said in the pre-fight press conference, I don't take it personal. He's got a legitimate beef against him, and I understand that.
And also at the pre-fight press conference, I think your eyebrows raised when you were told the winner would get a new Harley Davidson. I don't know if you saw it over there. What are your thoughts on winning a new Harley? Pretty
stoked. I don't ride bikes, but I guess I got to learn, huh?
It wasn't obvious when you started the fight that there was a game plan to counter-punch and get away from the cage wall and all those kind of things. Brilliant third and fourth rounds. It was still a very close fight, and people are divided over the decision. Would you consider having a rematch with Nick Diaz with GSP out to November? Can I ask Dana White that afterwards as well, please?
Like between now and November? I don't know. I haven't even thought about that at all. I didn't, like, from my standpoint, where being in the cage, I didn't think it was all that close. I felt like I dominated almost every round. He did take my back there at the end, and maybe won that round. But I think for the most part, I picked him apart.
Carlos, I wanted to, obviously you need to decide whether or not you're going to wait for the chance to fight GSP, but if you do decide to wait, I'd like to get your thoughts on potentially facing it. How much have you envisioned that fight in your mind? I mean, he's the one holding the belt. As you were making your way up the ladder, how much thought have you given to that fight already?
Well, if you remember, I trained for that fight. Just a few months ago, I was slated to fight George, and it would just kind of be back to training the way we were training, and doing a similar game plan, and seeing if skills that I've acquired along the way are going to fit into that, and it's an honor to be possibly fighting George for my next fight. I started out just liking the fight, and I love what I do, and to be on this stage and be competing against the best in the world, I couldn't ask for anything more.
What do you believe will be the difference? I mean, a lot of people have challenged him for the belt over the last few years. I mean, what do you think that you have to offer? Why is your style going to be the one that beats?
Like I said earlier, I like to create chaos. George's a very technical fighter. He likes to keep things pretty cut and dry. I like to mix it up. I like to throw from weird angles no matter where the fight goes. Hit you with punches, hit you with elbows, even if I'm on the ground. I'm trying to, not only chip away at you physically, but break you mentally. And, that's, pretty, that's what I do. And, I think a lot of guys have had problems with that in the past, and, I've only gotten better.